Hello and welcome back to the video tutorial series for the Vignette Phone Crossbody bag. I'm Susanna from Hold It Right There Sewing Patterns. In this second video in the series, I will walk through the unique features of the sewing pattern and the steps to prepare your fabric and interfacing. This sewing pattern is available on my website, linked below. Once you've gathered your supplies that I covered previously in my first video, we're ready to begin. First things first, when printing, be sure to first save your PDF file and then print from that saved file. Printing directly from the download without saving can cause you printing errors. Before printing the entire pattern, print a single page with a 1-inch test square and measure it to ensure accuracy. Be sure to print at 100% landscape orientation and do not scale or resize. I just want to note the pattern piece markings. You will follow the solid lines marked for fabric and either the solid or dashed lines indicated for interfacing, and then you will cut out all the fabric, interfacing, and stabilizer. Please note that some interfacing and stabilizer pieces are smaller than the fabric, and this is to reduce bulk in the seam allowances. A handy feature for all of my patterns is the cutting chart I include. The cutting chart for the Vignette Phone Crossbody is found on page 13, and this chart provides the dimensions and designates which interfacings belong with which fabric pieces. It's also a handy checklist for your project as well. On page 14 of your sewing pattern, you will find printable labels. These can be cut out and either pinned or clipped to your prepared fabric and interfacing pieces. Once you've cut out all of your fabric and interfacing listed on both the cutting chart and on the pattern pieces, you will need to cut out ultra firm stabilizer. You will need 2 1-inch squares of ultra firm stabilizer for the heavy duty or magnetic snap, and then you will need 1 piece of ultra firm stabilizer measuring 1.5 inches by 5 inches, and this will add stability to the base of the bag. This is a good time to also prepare the webbing for your crossbody strap. So you will need 1.5 yards total, or 54 inches, and we are using 1-inch wide webbing. With all of your fabric and interfacing cut out, we are ready to fuse the interfacing. Before we begin, I just want to note that you will omit interfacing if you are using waxed canvas, cork, vinyl, or leather, and also that the stabilizer will be applied later as directed. We will begin now on step 2 on page 3. Locate the fabric and corresponding interfacing for flap E, and there are 2 pieces for this, and exterior base G. Set aside the stabilizer to be used later as instructed. I'm going to begin with the flap. Place the fabric pieces wrong side up. The interfacing is the same size as the fabric. Fuse the interfacing on the wrong side of the fabric following manufacturer's instructions, and you will repeat with both E flap pieces and the G exterior base piece. Once you have it interfaced, set aside flap E for now. With exterior base G remaining wrong side up, layer the second piece of interfacing directly on top of the previously fused interfacing. Fuse as before, and then you will set aside exterior base G for now. I'm clipping the ultra-firm stabilizer to the prepared interface G piece so that it is ready later. These 2 pieces, E and G, can both be set aside for now. You will now need the fabric and interfacing for exterior top, front, back A, and the slip pocket exterior front back C. With the pieces wrong side up, center the interfacing. There is a frame without interfacing to minimize bulk in the seam allowances. Fuse the interfacing on the wrong side. You will fuse this interfacing on both of the A pieces. Going to repeat this with the slip pocket exterior C, using the fabric 1 or exterior facing pieces only, centering the interfacing on the wrong side so that there is a frame on all 4 sides without interfacing. and fuse this first layer of interfacing just as you did with the A pieces. With the pieces remaining wrong side up, layer the second piece of interfacing directly over the top of the previously fused interfacing and fuse as before. So at this point, you will need to have fused 2 layers of woven interfacing to both A pieces and the C slip pocket pieces that are cut from fabric 1 facing the exterior. Once you've done that, go ahead and set aside both the A and C pieces. You will now need the fabric and interfacing for bag lining H, which is 2 pieces, card slots I, just the fabric 1 piece, lining pocket J, also the fabric 1 piece. With the pieces wrong side up, center the interfacing. There is a frame without interfacing, and this again is to minimize bulk in the seam allowances. Fuse the interfacing and then set these pieces aside for now. Go ahead and interface bag lining H and lining pocket J fabric 1 piece in exactly this same way. Find now the fabric and interfacing for D-ring tabs F, and there are 2 of these. With the fabric pieces wrong side up, center the interfacing 1/2 inch from the left and right sides. The top edges of the fabric are flush with the interfacing. Fuse the interfacing on both of the D-ring tabs and then set them aside for now. The final pieces to interface are slip pocket lining inner layer B and slip pocket lining outer layer D. There are 2 pieces of each of these. Place the fabric wrong side up. Center the interfacing 1/2 inch below the top edge of the fabric. The interfacing is smaller than the fabric, and this will reduce the bulk in the exterior bag seam allowances. Fuse the interfacing on each of these slip pocket lining pieces for B and D. You will notice the interfacing for pieces B and D is just slightly longer than your fabric, so you can trim that bottom edge even with the fabric if you wish. Once you're finished, then just go ahead and set aside these pieces for now. We have now finished interfacing all of our pieces for our Vignette Phone Crossbody bag, and we are ready to begin sewing. Join me in the next video where we pick up on page 4 of the pattern instructions to create the flap and install either a magnetic snap or heavy-duty snap. Thanks for watching. Happy sewing!